Five, four, three, two, one. Welcome to Gymnasticsville. I'm Mubarak Simmons. You guys all know me as Midnight Robin, the host of Gymnasticsville, the voice of acrobatics. I do want to have a real quick transparency note before we get into it. I'm the co-founder of Gym Crew Talent Management alongside Taki and Carrie. We represent Yul and manage his partnerships and opportunities. We wanted to do this long form podcast so Yul can share his first full update since returning to training and competition in his own words with the right context. This episode, Yul Moldauer returns, the next chapter. We're going to cover the return to competition, what he learned during the time away, and what he is building for next. Yul, we appreciate you being here. Let's get into it.
Thanks for having me, guys. I'm super excited to do this. It's been a long time coming, but I'm just excited to speak.
That's great. First question, Yul. This past weekend, you were finally competing the Rocky Mountain Open. What did it feel like to step back in the competition floor?
Man, it was everything. It was highs, it was lows, it was emotional, it was excitement, it was nerve-wracking. All week, I just wanted to compete already. But I mean, I remember even before the competition, I was rolling out in my hotel room and I got emotional. Like I actually, like my eyes started to water, and I think it was just everything was hitting me. Of coming back, training super hard this last 8 weeks, and everyone kind of doubting me that I could do it, but also having the pressure of wanting to make Winter Cup and have that opportunity to go compete there, so I could at least try and earn my spot back on the national team. So I mean, Rocky Mountain Open is almost like a home meet for me. I've done it, you know, for almost over 10 years. So I kind of knew the layout. I knew what the college meet was going to be like. And I got lucky. I got to rotate with Oklahoma. So, I mean, it was exciting. It was nerve wracking, but I was just like ready to go. And I knew the pressure was on, but I always told myself, like, if it doesn't make you nervous, it's like not worth it. And pressure's a privilege. And I wanted this moment. I wanted to go out and compete, and even if this was my last competition, to go out on my own terms.
So you started on Pommel. First event. That is what you call one of the most unideal starts for any gymnast generally, let alone after not competing since the 2004 Olympic trials. Take us with what did you feel when you first found that out that you were starting on Pommel first?
I I was like, of course this would happen. The most nerve-wracking event for men's gymnastics I'm starting on. And I didn't know my order at all either. So I didn't know if I was going first. I didn't know if I was going
Yeah.
last. But once I found out, I think I found out a week ahead of
Yeah.
or Tuesday, I
Yeah.
found out.
The week of.
And
Yeah.
so every morning I started on horse. Every afternoon I started on horse. And I would just picture myself more nervous than I've ever been in my life because I knew the nerves were going to be there. It's not like
Yeah.
I have so much experience, the nerves aren't going to be there. I knew I was going to be nervous, but I also took that as like a really cool chance to show, if you do the right training and you put the pressure on when you work out, you can build for those moments. And, I went last. No one else
Yeah.
was going. Oklahoma had 6 guys go. And so I could just feel everyone watching me, but I also could hear in the crowd how much support I had. I could
Yeah.
hear the little kids screaming my name. I could hear my dad screaming my name. I could hear my best friends that showed up screaming my name. So I knew that I was almost doing it for them and that
Yeah.
I had so much support and I didn't need to overthink what the moment was. It was just go out there, do 8 skills, get through the routine, don't be perfect, and just
Yeah.
try and show that I belong here still. And that was like my entire goal. And man, when I landed that
Yeah,
dismount, like
exactly. What was that
I
moment?
just
Because
like
you
I
put your
put
head
my
up. Yeah.
hands, I looked up, and it just like it felt so good because man, it was like a very difficult year and a half being away from gymnastics. So to
Yeah.
finally just land and be in that moment, it was nice.
Yeah. No, I could hear it in your voice. You sound a little emotional because it just, yeah, I know, wasn't easy. So, yeah, of course, with Pommel and you hit the first event, which is great. You know what I mean? So, so just, obviously this first, take us through the competition, event by event. How was it? Obviously you go to rings next,
Yeah.
and from the previous conversation we had, you've been training your strength and you've been getting this spotted quite a bit. So, just take us through it.
Yeah, I mean, rings was next. I think that was my second routine without being spotted on my strength skills. So I knew that it was going to be tough. I knew that rings was going to be one of the harder events for me. And I did fall on my dismount, but I just had a bad swing, honestly, going through my dislocate. But for me, I was just happy because going back to trials and US champs and even Pacific Rim in 2024, I was dealing with a really bad shoulder injury. And I didn't know what it was because I was too stubborn to go to the doctors the year of the Olympics because I didn't want to hear if it was going to be bad news or not. I knew that if I just didn't know what the injury was and if I could just do the rehab, K tape it, and just get through 3 strength skills for these last 3 meets, it would be okay.
Yeah.
And when I finally went to the routine and I didn't feel any shoulder pain, I was like so grateful and I was so happy because it actually felt like everything healed up. And that was
Yeah.
honestly what I was most stressed about. So getting through rings, I was happy about. It's really hard to get strong on rings really quick. Um,
Yeah.
considering I only had 8 weeks until I competed. So for me, it was just like get through. Yeah, I could have done an easier routine, but for me, I was just like, I'm just gonna send it. I'm just gonna this is where I start. This is where I need to build up. If I do make it to Winter Cup, I have 4 weeks in between the meets. So this is a good time to just really go for it. And then,
Yeah.
next was vault. I've been doing 2.5s in the gym, but when I got there, I just knew it'd be better to just play it safe. Literally, it happened right as I blocked. I knew my shoulders
Yeah.
were really far forward on the vault. And I knew that I can't afford a lot of falls right now. I really want to make it
Yeah.
to Winter Cup. So I did double full, you know,
Were you
took a
little
big step
juiced
on the
up?
lane.
Were you a little juiced up? A little run a little faster than you think? That's why you got to the table a little fast, probably.
Oh yeah, low. I felt like I was flying. I've never felt that fresh in a while on vault. So it
Yeah.
was, I survived.
Yeah.
Next was P bars. For me, this was honestly, I think, one of my better events. Probably, I wouldn't say best because I think high bar for me was my best event, even though I didn't
Yeah.
score as high. But P bars, I always like to show off, who I am as a gymnast on this event, my lines. But, I took out the Bauman, I didn't do my Harada. So for
Yeah.
me, this routine, it feels pretty simple. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Out of
You do
all
a
the
Makus pretty
routines,
late now. You do a
yeah.
Makus late. I was pretty surprised by that. Second to last skill.
Well, honestly, it's in the same exact position as it is in my first half in the old code.
Oh yeah, because you used to do the. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's what happens when you take out you only have 8 skills now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2
Definitely
skills.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Less
it
skills. Yeah.
honestly felt easy. It felt like it flowed. The dismount, I wasn't even winded. So P-bars, for me, it's great. Of course, still had some bending on the Peach Half, bend arm on the Dion. Can be cleaner, with some toe flicks here and there. But overall, I was happy because I knew P-bars could be an event where I could really make an impact in my scoring and
Yeah.
help me in the all-around score.
Yep.
Um, Next, we went to high bar. And high bar for me, I really wanted to, hit. You always want to hit high bar. And for me, I know this has been one of my weaker events. I didn't do the triple double. I actually, that was my second time doing a Zuli min because I had brand new grips and they weren't fully broken in to the extent that I want them.
You ain't
And
want to peel. No peeling.
yeah. So it was another just okay. I did a Zuli Min in the routine on Thursday, a couple days before the competition. And then I did it at the meet. Got through high bar. That was fine. I was good. Floor, this was another event I knew I was going to struggle on. I've never competed a full punch double front. And that's, a requirement is doing a double front flip. So for me, this was a brand new pass.
Yeah.
I haven't competed on an AAI floor in years, and we don't have, I wouldn't say like a great A. We have one at our gym, but it's not to the extent where you can be tumbling on the elite level. You maybe
Yeah.
as like XL and some junior tumbling, but for me, I knew floor was going to be hard. One, because it's last. Two, floor is hard to get your legs back, that and the shape of your
Yeah.
back and your calves. And so
Yeah.
for me, I've been doing a lot of tumbling onto the resi mat. So taking all these hard hits, we
Yep.
knew it was going to be a little bit of a, gamble, but I did fall in this one too. My legs were just honestly dead. I'm
Yeah.
not going to blame it on the floor. I was dead. And that's why I did a layout, because I wanted to be safe. I wanted to not hurt myself. And so after my 2.5 punch layout, I was like, I'm just gonna do a layout, try and
Okay.
stick it and finish the meet safely.
Yeah. Well, smart decision.
And
You're just getting back, so that's that. Anyone, that's a lesson for anyone to learn. If you ain't feeling it, live to fight another day.
yeah.
Terry, do you have a question for you?
Yeah, I want to kind of take it back to as you're in your hotel, that kind of moments in between then. I want to know how did it feel, just first walking into the event venue, also, what was going through your mind, after you walk through the venue, you probably see some people, and then I want to also know what was going through your mind during a pivotal part of the competition. I think is during the national anthem, you know, when it's silent, everybody's listening to
Yeah.
the anthem. What's going through your mind after you walked in, you've already warmed up, you kind of go through that, and then that national anthem part right before your first event.
Yeah, no, so walking in, I got there Friday evening, and walking in, immediately I had a bunch of support saying, "Welcome back. We're happy you're competing." And for me, this was really nice because I'm embarrassed of not being in gymnastics for a bit. I take responsibility of not being responsible and updating my whereabouts. People are gonna talk and say, their thoughts. And for me, I was a little shy walking into the venue, and I didn't want to walk in there like I was, you know, Yul Moldauer. I almost walked in there thinking I'm a fresh gymnast. I have to earn everyone's respect again. I have to earn everyone's trust again. And immediately hearing, everyone welcoming back, that really took off the stress. In between, I actually had to leave my hotel early because checkout time was at 1 and open warm was at 4. So I just went to the competition. I asked if I could just hang out here until the competition starts. So I literally just put a roller behind my neck and lay down and just watched these little kids compete, played some games
Nice.
on my phone, just
Oh,
really
they had a
took
junior
in,
competition. Okay.
yeah, just took in the energy and the environment before I competed and just really embraced where I was. And warming up, I really tried to do like minimal turns because in the gym, I've been I've been taking 2 warm-up turns max because I know I'm getting older. I can't be doing an intense 2-hour warm-up and then competing for another 2 to 3 hours. So I tried to really mature in the way I warmed up. So it was very basic turns, do what I need to do to feel confident. And then once we marched out and the national anthem started playing, I mean, I got nervous. I really did. I was like, wow, I'm here. This is really happening. And for me, I always count the stars. I always count, the row by, the other row, and I add them up, and I always just say a little saying in my head, 30 plus 20 equals 50, 50 equals, represents the states of the United States. And then I take a deep breath, and then I just pretty much say, let's go in my head. I try and clap, I hug all my coaches. I hugged, all the OU guys. I clapped all of them, and I really tried to bring in that energy that I loved competing in, and that's that team environment. And lucky enough, I was with Oklahoma. They're one of the best teams to rotate. I know that might be biased because I went there, but really their energy is amazing. Their intensity is true. And just being sucked in with them, that helped me really be in the moment and kind of make it a college meet again.
Yeah.
Nice. And then I got one more question. One more. Obviously, you went through this competition. I want to know a little bit or shed light on, how from you being out of the gym and your training, how your cross training kind of played a role into you competing this past weekend, and how that either helped you, benefited you, or if it didn't benefit you. Kind of, can you talk a little bit about how it's changed your endurance as well, leading into
Oh,
that
yeah.
first competition?
It played a huge role. I knew I was going to be out. I knew that I was going to have to come up with exercises that was going to have, the pounding on my wrists, my elbows, shoulders, knees, ankles, all of it. So for me, I really tried to bring in everything that I could at almost like a home workout, whether it was presses, whether it was, the Jordans going this way with weights, doing plank holds, hopping on the ball, handstand walks. I probably looked crazy in a normal fitness gym. I worked out at Lifetime. Thankfully, Senior Dallas Hale gave me a membership there, and he was like, you need to do whatever you need to do to take care of your body to be able to come back as quick as you can. And I really took that to heart. I ran a mile every single day. I did a press circuit every day. I did a core circuit every day. I swam, I saunaed, I hot tub. And it really opened my eyes of how much you can do that isn't gymnastics that can keep you in gymnastic shape. And it's almost like the weights we did in Oklahoma. We did those weights not to get big. It was for you to prepare for the season. So you wouldn't,
Yeah.
get injured. You would be able to do 18 weekends in a row of competing. So I really try to take everything that I learned at OU, everything that I've seen around the world, whether it was at a Japan national team camp, worlds, guys warming up with exercises, just using blocks and weights, um, flexibility stretches. And I did that so much that I am actually more flexible today. My endurance is higher today. I actually got convinced my gym owner, Beth Trammell, she actually got us a treadmill because I told her I ran a mile and it helped my endurance so much. I posted that pommel horse routine on my Instagram. That was the first pommel routine I saluted and showed. And for me to even get through the first half and through the travels and feel the difference in my endurance, I felt like
Yeah.
that really opened my eyes to be like, I need to be on the treadmill and I need to keep that endurance up. So we got a treadmill. I actually ran a mile today already. And so that's something that I'm keeping in my routine is being on the treadmill, running a mile, opening up my lungs. And I still take all these weights that I did in the gym that made me feel strong, like in my legs and my ankles, my wrist. Like I don't even take my wrist for a pommel anymore. So I'm
Yeah.
really thankful for that. So I'm trying to bring everything that I learned outside the gym in a fitness gym and correlate it
Nice.
into my morning routine.
Yeah, man. I mean, just from watching a few of the videos and obviously your pommel horse routine, I mean, I kind of mentioned this to you offline about just how smooth you look. You looked way, it didn't seem like you were rushed. You seemed under control. You just looked like you had a nice flow, like in a flow state when you're training horse now, man. So, real props and kudos to you for,
Thank
taking
you.
that time and really taking it seriously outside of the gym to how now that extra work is just
Yeah.
showing into your competition this last weekend. So man, just real proud of you on that one, man.
Yeah,
Thank you.
so that's one of the things that I remember again throughout the process of you coming back. I remember talking to you, and obviously as a as a as a coach still, an elite coach, we always talk about, making sure you're monitoring your load, don't come back too fast, and putting all those things out there just to, just obviously want to make sure you come back as good as possible. And you again, you've been doing gymnastics long enough. You listen to your body, you know your body better than anyone else. And then I remember after day one or day two, you're like, oh, I did this, I did this, I did this. I was like, oh my gosh, you did so much so fast. But you said you felt great, your body felt great, which kind of leads me into my next thought a little bit. And this is kind of something you can chime in on, is that gymnastics is not a sport that truly has an off season,
Mhm.
like other sports. And I think one of the things that you have shown, at least in this short period of time, from the time you got off in your first competition back, is that it seems like gymnastics can actually have an off season, which means doesn't mean nothing, but it does mean you can cross train.
Mhm.
So just with that in mind, again, I know it'd be tough to do because the business of gymnastics, but what's your thought about that now moving forward? Do you see yourself maybe possibly, again, it'll be hard to do because of just how the gymnastics season goes, but do you maybe see a benefit of maybe having like a month away from gymnastics and continue to cross train?
I honestly do. I think I'm gonna implement taking actual, like you said, maybe a month, maybe 3 weeks off,
Yeah,
and making sure I stay fit, making sure my endurance is up, making sure my flexibility stays, within me. So I do see, the benefits of taking time off. Honestly, I think the best thing for me was staying motivated and staying consistent. I think if I wasn't consistent with my workouts and stretching, it would be a
yeah,
way different story. And even going back into the gym, I definitely felt off.
yeah.
And I definitely felt like everything wasn't there yet. It did take me a while to get fully back on floor. Actually, for floor, I started on the tumble track to really just
Yeah,
not
eat
hurt
into it and
myself.
not
Like,
not
honestly.
beat up the body. Yeah,
Yeah. So floor, I really took my time on. Pommel I knew was gonna hurt with just the wrists and elbows.
yeah.
But actually, I was surprised because of all this planking stuff that I did. I think it kept my wrists and elbows strong.
Can,
So
can I stop? Can
honestly,
I stop you
Pommel,
real fast so you can just kind of just take us through a day, just a day in which what you were doing. You know what I mean? Just from wake up to the end of the day, just so we kind of have a better idea on what a normal day was like for you. So everyone can know it's like this is what I did. 4 or 5 days a week or however much you did it. Can you just take us through that?
yeah. So I actually went before I start. Actually went and got a job at a subcontractor for ball, the mason jars.
Yep,
And work started at 5:30 in the morning, and I took those hours because I knew it would keep me on schedule of waking up early, for gym, and
yep,
getting out at 2, and if I got out at 2, I could go home, change, and go to Lifetime. So I would literally wake up, go to work for 8.5 hours, go home, sit in my bed for 20 minutes and decompress from work, change into workout clothes, head to Lifetime, get there, literally do a gymnastics warm up for 30 minutes with stretching, rolling out, then another like 15 minutes of rubber bands. And then I would go into, I think it was like 8 exercises of core, and I would do 3 sets of 10 on everything. 3 sets of 10, 10-second hold on everything. Then I would do a 3-minute plank routine. Then every other day, I would decide between bicep kind of movements or ring strength movements, with the string and strap, or if it was bicep curls, because I knew I wanted to give my body rest too. So I didn't want to be
yeah.
overdoing it. So I honestly came up with this routine, and then I would do cardio every single day, and it would at least be 15 minutes or a mile on the treadmill, whether it was the treadmill or the Stairmaster. And I actually got down to a 5:26 mile, 5 minute and 26 mile, because
Nice.
I didn't have any goals. I couldn't push for anything in the gym. So what I decided to do was like, I want to see how fast I can run a mile. And
Yeah.
it actually got to the point where the employees at Lifetime would ask me, would you ever be a personal trainer? And they would watch me, they would ask me, why are you doing this? It was the Gauss Jordans that got everybody. They're like, why are you doing these arm circles with weights? And I was like,
Yeah.
honestly, I don't know, but it just makes my shoulder feel stronger. I'm not a doctor. I didn't study the body. I don't know what every muscle group is, but I remember at OU, if there's one thing that actually helped my shoulders, it was doing the rotation things.
Yeah.
That I don't know, we call them Jordan somethings, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Like Jordan
Yeah,
something like that. I don't know. You just come up with a name and then it sticks.
yeah. And then after all that workout was done, I would go sit in the sauna, whether it was 10 minutes to 20. It just kind of felt like what I needed that day or how dehydrated I got. But in that sauna time, I would close my eyes and I would literally imagine myself doing routines the entire time, very slowly, not rushed. In the biggest moment of my life, I would just imagine every single muscle from toe to head. I would literally try and focus like, what would I be feeling? Because gymnastics at some point it kind of feels automatic. You don't need to be thinking about a high bar tap, right?
Yeah.
So I'd really go through every single motion of hand placement, how my thumbs were feeling, how my elbows and arms would be locked out, where my neck would be, how my pecs would be feeling like. And it wasn't rushed. It was almost like I was meditating in my own routines. And I did that because I wanted to feel like I was doing the skill still. I didn't want to lose this feeling. I didn't want to lose the focus. And I did that every single day. And then by I think August, Dal Senior was like, I don't want you working. I want you to give everything into getting back in shape these next, 4 months, 3 months, and taking time off and letting your body rest. And that's when I started working out twice a day at the fitness center. So I would do the same thing that I just told you in the morning. And then in the afternoon, I would swim. And then I would do more like gymnastic stuff like handstand walks, jumping off the block, sometimes going out into the grass and doing a back handspring or a back tuck.
Yeah.
But I really couldn't do much. Like all I could do was what I could find out how to use things in the gym.
Yeah.
I had I used weights as parallettes
Paralyzed. Yep.
and I would do Heelys on them. It was kind of scary at first because
Well, you
you
don't
could
have much
mess
to
up.
reach for. You
Yeah,
got that little hand grip, and then
yeah,
if you don't grab that, you gonna probably dislocate a finger or two because that
yeah.
ground is right there. All
Yeah,
right.
and
Well,
I would do
that's
circles on the floor, I would do flares on the floor, I would do back tucks on the floor. I had tennis shoes on, but honestly, I
yeah.
just did as much as I could. Like, I did more and I could do more during COVID than I could with this
During the
timeout.
spring. Yeah. Yeah. I get
Wow,
that.
So,
Wow. That's
it's
That's
tremendous.
incredible.
crazy. All right, Carrie.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. I gotta run back, make a few more smoothies. You guys already know. But Yule man, I'm looking forward to the next podcast and the next competition. Motaki, brothers, I see y'all later.
All
Y'all
yeah,
right,
have a
man.
thanks,
good one,
Carrie.
man.
All
All
right.
Thanks
right.
for the
Take care.
See you,
questions, though.
Carrie.
See you,
Peace.
Carrie.
All right. So let's continue this conversation. Seems like you did, within this time away, you had a lot of growth. But
Mhm.
we would like to know, I'm sure, because was there a moment during this time that you questioned that you would come back?
Yeah, every day. It was it was every day I had to think about it. It was the age, it was do I move on with my life? It was everything. It was really hard to know what I wanted to do. But I think as I got closer, I started to know that I only have this one chance. And if my body feels good, no matter if I make it, these next 2 years and 7 months to the Olympic Games, or even if I make the Olympic team, I'm gonna give it everything because I don't wanna regret going back 10 years and be like, "Man, I wish I went for it," those last 2 years and 7 months. So, at one point, everything just clicked, and I was like, "I'm gonna do this. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care what anyone's gonna think of me. I'm doing this for myself, and I'm gonna do it the way I want, and I'm gonna exit the sport the way I want to."
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it. So, was there a period at the beginning to where you kind of, you know, trying to find your footing on what you were doing essentially with your life? You know what I mean? It came, gymnastics has been your entire life, and all of a sudden, just like that, you're out, and you know how long you're out for. Like an injury, you're like, you still keep your mind in the gym and all that stuff, but this is different. You're completely separated from gymnastics. So,
Yeah,
explain what that process is like, because I think people would be very interested to know.
man, it was definitely a time period where I was, like, a little lost, and I didn't know which direction to go, but I will say this, I made sure I went out and lived a life completely without gymnastics to really see what it was like. And that's why, one, I got a job because I wanted to be in the corporate side. I wanted to see what that was like because I wanted to see if I could do it. And actually, it was really cool. The job site that I was at, we were never in the top 3 for warehouses. And we got into the top 2. Every single day I worked as hard as I could. I tried to motivate people. I
Oh,
every single meeting on Wednesday, we have a meeting every Wednesday. And I told everyone, I was like, "Guys, we need to be in the top. Like, you guys want those bonuses, right? Like, we can do this." And
you want that money? You want that paper?
Yo,
it's funny,
absolutely.
but it's so
Absolutely.
true. I can honestly see, I'm not gonna say people were lazy and whatnot, but I really can see a difference why corporations do love athletes. They do their work, they listen. Well, there was another athlete there that I worked with, and he played basketball, years ago. He was working at this company for over 15 years, and me and him just instantly clicked because we always listened, we understood the assignment, we had a goal, and we just tried to rally off of each other. I think there was a record of how many pilots you can clean, and they're, 50 pounds. You got to bring them outside, you got to wash them. The average person does 40 a day. I did like 230 something in a day. And the lady, my boss, was shocked. She was insane, and she thought it was just gonna be a one-day thing, but I tried to beat that number every single day, and I hit over 150 every single day. And I remember starting at the warehouse, there was piles and rows of these pilots, and it took me, like, 2 months of work to get it to where we were caught up, where you didn't even have to worry about a section for them because we were cleaning them so efficiently. And then I got moved over to a different station to get caught up, and I got caught up within the first couple days. And then they put me over to the sheet area, and I would do, you know, we call it a pilot. There's probably 800 sheets. They're plastic. You gotta clean them off, spray them with alcohol, clean them off again, dry them off. Everyone does, maybe 2 pilots a day. I would get through, 8 to 10. And so we were actually running efficiently, and I kept that competitiveness in it. So that was really fun for me to see that I could excel outside of something than gymnastics. And then I
Yeah.
started getting into music. I've always been into music ever since I was a little kid. You can ask my family. All I wanted was a radio and a 303 CD or a Yes CD or just something that I could play the radio on while I build my Legos. It was therapy for me. Music has always been therapy for me. I remember 2017 Worlds. I was listening to one song every single day on repeat to hype me up for the meet because it was just the noise and the energy of this song. And I've been a DJ since I was 17. You know, I've always had a table, a mixer, and I've always messed around with it, never thinking that I was going to give it a real chance. But everyone was like, do it, you know, take the shot. Let's see if you can do it. And I actually have this friend since middle school who has been DJing. And so I hit him up once and I was like, hey, you know, here's a mix I made. I would love to see if I could just try it out. Not career wise, but I just want to say I actually went out and played publicly.
Yeah.
And I got my first gig on a Wednesday night at 10 o'clock. Um, you know, Wednesdays are not a
Yeah.
popular day, but it was packed. You know, I had a lot of support from my friends
Nice.
and even my coach came, Sasha came and supported me with his wife and a few of the parents. And
Dope.
that meant a lot to me. You know, I went and out and DJ'd, and ever since then, people said I played really well, and I just started getting booked in it. And I got to play in Aspen. I got to DJ a Red Bull event at a golf course. I've hit every single major club now in Colorado. Uh, I actually have a gig coming up February 6th. And so it's kind of crazy to see that part grow as well too. And I never thought it would take me anywhere. But you know, if you play an hour set, charge $200 an hour, you can make an extra 800 bucks a month. And if you play multiple hours, it just builds up. And then some corporations will pay you, you know, $5,000, $10,000, and it kinda just got to the point where I was DJing and people liked me because I didn't put myself in a position to not play again with, you know, the outside activities that most people think DJs do.
Yep.
I always took it very seriously as a job, like, I'm getting paid to do this, so I wanna represent myself as someone that takes this seriously, and you can rely on me
Yeah.
and go out there and play. So I went and did that, and then I also went and saw all my friends. I went to Texas and saw all the OU guys like Hunter, Reese,
Yeah.
Tanner,
Levi.
Puff, Levi, and just enjoyed life. And then I also got to go to Joshy's wedding in Hawaii. I got to go see my best friend since I was, you know, 7 in Missouri and see his family and see his dad who actually passed away a couple months ago, so I'm really glad I got to go out and see him. I got to see my mom more, and
Mhm.
she, you know, lives an hour and a half away from me, and with a gymnastics schedule, you know, I never get to like see her besides maybe a Sunday if I'm in town, if I don't have a competition. So I got to sleep in, which I've never experienced, like, actually sleep in, stay up late watching a Netflix show
No
or
alarm. No alarm.
yeah,
It's like, wait. What's going on? Just
yeah,
wake
but
up.
actually, you know, if my friends go to dinner on Wednesday night, oh, yeah, I can go. So I really tried to separate myself from the gymnastics world to see what it was really like, to see if, like, do I still love gymnastics? Because I shouldn't go back into gymnastics to go and reach the Olympics. I should go back because I love it, and if I love it enough, it will lead me to the national team. Love will lead me to the world team. Love will lead me to the Olympic team. Love will overpower all these hard days that requires being a gymnast. So I had to figure out, do I still love the sport? And that's what I did, and I realized I'm in love with this sport still.
And that's great, Yul. I think that's a good transition. So we can just talk a little bit about this. I would like to address the suspension, right? We're gonna address
Mhm.
this briefly, then we're gonna move forward. But
Yeah,
looking back on everything that happened, what responsibility do you own today?
all of it. I don't blame anyone else but myself. At the end of the day, I didn't update my whereabouts. I missed the test and I can't blame anyone or complain. I have to suck it up. You know, that's why I publicly wanted to come out and let everyone know from me because one, I wasn't scared that it was drugs or a failed test. I knew I was clean. I know that for a fact. So I'm not even worried about that. And, yes, people are going to say their own stories and like, oh, he missed because he's using it. It's like, no, I know I'm clean, but I'm going to come out and be the bigger person, own responsibility, and and deal with this. Luckily they gave me a 16-month suspension instead of 24, so you have to be thankful for that. I could still be out if they gave me the full time. But also I don't really care what people say about it because I know between those whereabouts, I was still taking tests or I had competitions. So, and it was the year of the Olympics. It's like people are so quick to jump to conclusion on the negative, and it's like, okay, take a step back and say you're an athlete building up for the Olympics. It's the Olympic year. Why would you be taking drugs the year of the Olympics? First of all, and secondly, the first one I missed, I was in France. I'm competing in the leagues there. They drug test you anytime they
Yeah.
want. So it's not like I'm free. I'm
So
competing.
so so yo, just to maybe just explain a little bit for people who may not understand what the whereabout is, the requirement. Can you just
Yeah.
kind of just briefly explain what they are and why does it matter? In terms of
Yeah.
having
Yeah.
a clean sport, right?
Of course, I will always say, I want everyone to compete clean, so I get their whole system. So every single quarter, we have quarters, the first 3 months, second
Yep.
3
Yep.
months, blah, 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 blah. So there are quarters. Every quarter, you have to go in and fill out where you're gonna be sleeping every single night, whether you have competitions, whether you're gonna be traveling, and a 1-hour window where they can come test you. And everyone has a login, everyone has the app, so you can go in and log in and update it, and,
Yep.
everyone has to do that every single
Yeah.
quarter and day. If something like for me right now, I have it set to 9:30 when I get back from gym now, but let's just say after gym, I have a doctor's appointment. Before 9:30 hits, I need to go into that app and remember, "Hey, I'm changing my time to 12 p.m. because I have a doctor's appointment." So it's very by the book. If you don't do that, you can easily miss a test. Sometimes you stop at a
Yeah.
gas station too long and you could miss your drug test. So it's very strict. It's there for a reason. I get the reason behind it. It's just they have to do it this way. They have to know where you are and come test you. I'll send the athletes that don't want to compete clean, there are windows where you could probably just miss if they didn't have that hour window or where you're sleeping. But,
Yeah.
I feel like
So
I
so you
actually
just have to
talked to
be on
them.
top of it. You have to be on top of it
Yeah.
because any change in your schedule, because obviously you fill it out every quarter and you fill it out for those 3 months.
Yeah.
And
And you
then
can forget.
so and you can forget. You can have an appointment set, a doctor's
Yeah.
appointment, and you didn't know, and then they could be there to drug test you, but you're in a doctor's appointment. So it's
Yeah.
very it's again more. It doesn't happen like obviously whereabouts failures can happens to anyone. They don't happen as often as one would think, but it's very easy to just not remember these things. Like it's not easy. It's life. You know what I mean? Your schedule is
Yeah.
constantly changing. But again, that's part of the responsibility is as the high level elite athletes be doing those things. But it's definitely it's way harder than people think to just remember those small nuances and changes that happens in people's lives that you have to be on top of and make those changes in the app.
Yeah. Well,
So
I
so
think it's
so
also
with that
hard
in
too.
mind, what systems do you kind of have in place, to kind of help you make, hopefully never have this happen again?
Well, honestly, this whole thing like scarred my life. Honestly, I felt like I was a criminal. I felt like they thought I was a drug user. So for me, I literally wake up, I look at my app every single day now, and I've just made sure that's like the first thing I do now. And I make sure it's up to date. I make sure if I'm going out of town now that I put it in the moment
You know
I
about
know, because
yeah.
I never want this to happen again. And I know how extent the rules are, and honestly, it's insane. Like, I felt like I was on probation, and
Yep.
I couldn't even walk into a gym. I couldn't even talk to little kids. So for me, that is my gymnastics life, inspiring the youth. So to not even be able to coach or go work at camps or even be in the realm, it just like
Be
it
in the
shocked me.
community.
It's
Just be
it
in the
scarred
community.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So, you were again. I didn't know this until probably obviously months back, but you were still in the system, and you still had to update everything throughout your suspension, correct?
yeah. Oh, correct. I've been drug tested, every single month for the past suspension, I would say. Some months
Yeah.
they even come twice. I'm actually that's why probably why I'm so like on it right now is because I just know like they could be here today. They could come in right now during this. So it's scarred me in a positive way. Again, I don't want to blame it on anyone. I just need to be more responsible. I need to make sure I'm on top of it and just make sure this never happens again.
Good
All
stuff.
right.
Yep.
Yeah, that's great. All right. So let's talk a little bit about now, you're training now. What's next? What are you building for? What are your goals this year specifically? What can the fans, see that you're working towards this year?
In 4 weeks, I'll be going to Winter Cup.
Nice.
Thankfully, I qualified, so that was something off my plate of stress. Now that I can focus on Winter Cup, I want to earn my spot back onto the senior national team. And from there, I really, really want to do well at Winter Cup because I want to make it back to the American Cup. And I know that there's going to be so much competition for that because, the national team looks good. There are a
Yeah.
lot of good guys. And also, even if I do well, what happened if they don't trust me because I haven't been competing in a while?
Yeah.
So there's that too. But my goals are to make national team, get selected for international meets like American Cup, DTB, hopefully a World Cup so I can compete the skill that I've been inventing before the other gymnasts compete it because I see it's been going around.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. You go unveil. What is it? What is it, Yul?
It's the Peach Half Healy.
Yeah.
I've seen
Oh,
people doing it and I've been doing it since 2020, but just have never competed at a World Cup because I've been so focused on the team that now that if I make a World Cup, I'm gonna do it because
so are
I'm
you telling me with this skill, would it be called the Moldauer? I mean,
Of
yeah.
course.
so it hasn't been done in a World Cup
International
setting yet?
competition. No.
No, it hasn't been done yet. So that's something I want to do. I also want to do well at championships so I can try and make the world team. That's always the number one goal of every single year. If it's not the Olympics, is make the world team, earn a world medal as a team and individually.
Yeah.
Um, and just every single year, just have these same goals that I always had. Re- You know, stay on national team if I make it in 2027, make international competitions, make the world team, and then it's 2028. It's right around the corner. So honestly, it's the same goals I had as when I was a gymnast a couple years ago. Do well, make international assignments, earn national medals, and put men's gymnastics on the map.
Nice. What are your thoughts about the new American Cup formats, which also leads to that kind of follow up to actually the Olympics having this pairs competition? Like, how do you feel about that?
I love it. Like
Yeah.
it is it is so fun to compete in mixed pairs. I've done, thankfully 3
Yeah.
Swiss Cup events, and those are so fun because guys and girls are so separate in gymnastics. And I think it's so fun when you finally get to compete with the females, with the girls, because it's like you feel like a complete team. It's not just so women's side, men's side, it's like, holy cow, it's like the Olympics when they introduced both male and female teams for
Yeah.
track and field. And
Yep.
as you see, it's growing more and more in sports. And I think gymnastics is an incredible way to show one, the difference between men's and female gymnastics, but
Yeah.
also show gymnastics in general because everyone argues, what's harder, female or male, and it's like it's so different, but not
Yeah.
in bad ways. It's incredible to see what the female body is capable of. It's incredible to see what the male body can do and to see them compete together. I think that's just such a special thing. I always argue when I was in the NCAA, like, why not have one competition where it's girls and guys just to see what it's like to really see what the difference is to give people that aren't gymnastics fans an actual eye to eye representation.
Yeah.
And they have the mixed cup at DTB, and that one's always a really fun one to watch because it's not just one girl and one guy, it's three girls, three guys. So it's an even bigger team, and
Yeah.
it's awesome to see that in gymnastics because we grow up going to male only meets and then female only meets, and to see them actually work together, I think that's beautiful.
Yeah. Nice. Nice. So all things looking forward, you know what I mean? And this is just a real question. What if you got that spot at the Olympics on that mixed group? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
I
you
would
got,
love it.
you would love it.
And
Okay.
everyone's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, it's an extra day of competition." And yes, that's hard. It is hard. But sometimes when there's an opportunity that's there, you forget about if it's hard because it's something you want to do. It's special, it's different, and I'm actually really happy they announced that. Even though, there might be some mixed feelings about it and safety concerns. I get that.
Yeah.
But you can eliminate all of that into your training.
Yeah.
You know, you can
Yeah.
do multiple days of all around. And I know that sounds like it's bad, but the code's different. It's 8 skills. It's less hard on your body. But I think it just comes down to your training and who who wouldn't want an extra opportunity to earn a medal.
True that. Exactly. True that. Um, yeah, just a small segue. This is a little bit in in that vein. Um, but because you talk about the men and women working together, when this all came about, you figured out this suspension aspect at on tour. You know what I mean? So you were there, because obviously we communicated and all that stuff. And
Yeah,
this is and that's why I think it's a strong tie-in is that male and female gymnasts are actually they don't always train together, but you guys are together, you grow up together and known each other for so many years. And you had the entire, you had everyone there when this happened. So
mhm.
just explain a little bit what that community was like in this situation.
It's amazing. I really do see why everyone says, as a gymnast, if you go on tour, it's one of the best experiences in your life. It's because we became a family. We got to train together, laugh together, eat together, hang out together, you know, everything together. It was just so fun to be in that environment and go out and perform together
Yeah.
and embrace the fans and embrace, the 5 to 7 shows a week, embrace the bus rides. It was so fun because you really got to like know everyone on a very personal level
Yeah.
and share stories that you might not think you'll ever hear from Simone Biles or Brody Malone or Shane or, Fred, Kevin, even the dancers that were there. And it was just a time to be a gymnast. Like that is the ultimate goal is to go into these giant arenas, sold out crowds and perform on a different nerve. Like
Yeah.
I got nerves still, but it's like you want to do well because everyone in the
Completely.
tour, whether you're a choreographer, a director, a runner, stage manager, equipment setup, you're doing it for them because everyone gets to see on a personal level how much it takes to run this tour. So I wanted to do well for them. I wanted to do well for the fans. I wanted to do well because I also knew this was probably one of the last chances I'll be doing gymnastics for a while.
Yeah.
But, even on tour, when I found out I was being suspended, I didn't try and hide it. I literally went up to the director and I was like, hey, I need to have a team meeting and let everyone know that I'm being suspended. I need to let everyone know that maybe I could be doing this. So I try to be really respectful and let everyone know ahead, so no one was like shocked on tour because we almost had a show and I didn't want people seeing the news and then like kind of getting surprised by it. So I really try to tell everyone at an appropriate time and I literally had a meeting the day I found out I was being suspended.
Yeah. Yeah, no, like I said, like tours, I would imagine, obviously I've never been on tour, but performed in Lion King and Cirque, it's a different type of nerves. It's a different, like, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's I found it to be actually almost a little bit harder because, I know team competitions, you have your own that, but it's also like, I have so many people, you know what I mean? And then everyone
Yeah.
knows what you should be doing. You know what I mean? You got to
Yeah.
be in the right spot at the right time because if not, you know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
Gymnastics, you work by yourself. But then when you
Yeah.
do shows, it's like, no, you have to work with other people. It officially becomes a team sport in show
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
gymnasts. So, yeah, that's the experience that it was like for me when I started performing.
And it was awesome because maybe if some people were missing a show, other people would fill in.
Yeah,
um So I remember Fred was actually missing a show, and I haven't practiced. I didn't practice any of the dance. Me and Olivia, well, one of the dancers, we kind of walked through it, but I think maybe a few days before I had to film for Fred, we really walked through everything, and I was nervous because it's all about footwork. It's all about hearing the music, when to land. It's the motion side behind it. So it was honestly really beautiful to see that side of performing
Yeah.
and production, and I fell in love with it. I wish we could do a tour every single year or a gymnastics showcase every single year
yeah,
and put on a show for all these fans that support us. I think it's incredible if we could pick a few cities and put on a show and just throw out and do skills and show that some gymnasts can dance. I think that would be fun.
yeah, yeah. Man, gymnasts can dance. I ain't gonna say, I ain't gonna lie about that. I can dance. I know
Yeah.
that much.
Yeah.
So you're during your time away, what were your thoughts on gymnastics? I feel like a lot of major events happened. You had, world championships, you had multiple world cups. What was your thought? I know you were strategizing too about your comeback and what type of skills you're going to do, but just overall, the world of gymnastics or gymnastics in America, what were your kind of thoughts? What were you observing from afar?
I was observing the start scores the most and seeing the range of all around scores because I can't really relate to individual events and how they're scoring them because I haven't competed 8 skills ever.
Got it.
I was always in the 10 skill from level 9 to elite. So I never really understood the 8 skill, but I knew I could kind of range my start scores and kind of say, okay, well, if I average getting 1.4 to 2 points off every event, what all around score do I need to be competitive in the world? So I watched a lot of the competitions. I watched a lot of the World Cups. I watched World Championships. So for me, I knew, in my head, and I wrote them down and I gave them to Sasha the routines that I wanted to compete by the Olympics. And he would tell me what I need to change with the new code, with support skills like on P bars or last pass on floor, just everything and dismounts. So I kind of knew the basis of where I need to get to be competitive in the world. But now that I've actually competed, I'm actually really surprised by my all around score with the falls I had and the mistakes I had and all of the skills that I left out. because it's not like I haven't been training them. I just at the meet we knew we were gonna take skills out. So to know that I had those falls and to add the start score value back up, I, I should be in the top 3 for start scores for US males. And I should be, I don't know what Daiki's doing now, uh, this coming year because there hasn't been any major competition, but I should be above him as well.
Wow, that's great. That's great, Yul. And
Thanks,
you've been
guys.
through something, very publicly that a lot of athletes fear, right?
Mhm.
What advice would you give an athlete going through their own setback right now?
You gotta find the grounds of why you're doing what you're doing, even if everything goes bad. And, I actually thought about Brody's injury a lot during my time and how how much he was out and what he accomplished from an injury to a Olympic medalist. And that kind of just showed me how bad things can get. But if you put yourself in the right mindset and you just stay kind of quiet to yourself and work through it and not set a time for yourself, but just take it day by day and not think about, in a year I'll be back. It was for me, it was day by day, take it day by day. What can I do to be better, even though there are things that I cannot do right now? What can I do to get better? And I think what, that's the advice I would give to anyone because I think if you think about a year away, I'm out for 2 years or I'm injured this year, that's going to mess with your head more. But if you can flip the mindset and think about what can I do today to get better? It doesn't matter if I reach my goal, but as long as I get better today, and at the end of the day, if I quit or don't quit, I can say that I tried my best and I can be happy with that. I can be content and I can live on my life, even if I don't reach it. Because honestly, I was scared coming back for injuries. Like from tearing the Achilles the first week back to not being able to get back in shape,
Yeah.
I was nervous. I was like, this isn't a given. I am 29, gonna be 30 this year. Nothing's given. So for me, I just had to take it day by day and not think about, am I gonna make this or not? It was the effort that I was giving that I could be peaceful with.
Wow,
Good
that's
advice.
great.
Good
Yeah.
advice day by day. That's I try to tell myself the same thing. You know what I mean? Take it one day at a time. You can only live that day.
Mm. And of course, it's easier said than done.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're gonna have bad days, you're gonna have hard days, but that's what it takes to be successful in anything is you gotta go through trials, you gotta go through hard times, you gotta be in times where you feel like you're gonna give up, but it's literally up to you to find a way.
Nice.
Wow, that's
Awesome
great,
advice.
Yul. That's great, Yul. Well, listen, Yul, I really appreciate you doing this podcast and sharing your story. To everyone watching, thank you for supporting Yule in this new chapter. Make sure you subscribe to Gym Crew Sports on YouTube channel, and we'll be posting clips, highlights throughout social media. I'm Midnight Robin. Yule, Taki, thanks for coming on to this show.
Thank
Thank you for
you.
having me. If I could say one last thing,
Of course.
Absolutely.
I would like to say thank you to my entire family, my friends, fans, and just everyone that literally reached out during this time. Like it truly meant a lot from the gym owners to past coaches to everyone that actually reached out and just showed support because it was hard. And without you guys, I definitely wouldn't have made it through. So to feel that support and love, like I genuinely appreciate it from everybody.
That's great, you and I'm sure just from our standpoint, Gym Crew, Taki, myself, we've enjoyed working with you over these last quite a few years. Taki
Mhm.
is your coach at Oklahoma, and then us working with you with management. And something that always ceases to amaze me about you is just your energy and your drive and the conversations we have. It's
Mhm.
remarkable that you're still doing the sport at the level that you're doing it. And I'm just excited, that we're a part of this ride with you and can't wait to see what you do next over these next few years. I'm excited.
No, I appreciate you guys too. We had some phone calls too, so a lot of support. I'm happy to do this journey with you guys, and I can't see where, this next couple years takes us.
Yeah, man. It's gonna be fun. And again, everyone not well, I can't speak for everyone, but a boatload of people are happy to have you back. So, and you say it all the time. Yul says he loves his fans and all that support. He says this stuff even when he's not in front of the camera. So he embodies the love for gymnastics and the passion he has for the people that follow his gymnastics.
Yeah, no, thanks, guys. Thank you,
Yeah.
everybody.
All right. Midnight Robin, Gymnasticsville. We'll see you guys soon. Thank you for watching the Gymnasticsville podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you're the first to know when the new episode drops. Drop a comment below. What do you think? What questions do you have for future guests? See you next time.